All right, Battletech enthusiasts, incoming question. Comments from the blog. Fritz, recommendations for medium mechs. A couple of posts back, we explored the idea of the catapult and how certainly in Battletech we have our favorite mechs. We want to try and do different things. But in building up your collection, what are some mechs that are just really good across a variety of roles? And if you're really not sure what to play or you want a really solid anchor point, what machine should we be bringing in? So that's what we're going to build on, and we're going to look at the light, the heavy, the assault, medium-wise. Your vote. Well, I guess the splash picture here gives it away. The Griffin. I mean, this is a really interesting machine. Stock version works very, very well. A couple of interesting variants on there, and certainly in the narrative, if you had to inherit a mech, you could do a lot worse. So what makes the Griffin excel? We've got the PPC. We've got the LRM-10. Those two weapons at range are paired perfectly to work with each other. They do enough damage that if they connect with the PPC and an average spread of the LRM-10, you're going to put out some good damage dice. You're going to put out some good hits on there. On a side note, some of the things I've looked at with regard to long-range missile packs, I prefer 20 and 15 packs simply because based on the spread, if you roll average, you're still going to put on the hurt. 10, I kind of draw the line. I'd like to have 15 or 20, but a 10 still on a medium mech with the range and paired with the PPC, it works really, really well. We also have an option. It's an option, although certainly the Griffin is not a long-range support fire mech or an indirect mech. You have that option. So tactically, it could, in a pinch against certain targets, work in that role. Where it really shines and makes it deadly is in terms of the armor, speed, and mobility. Against light mechs, you have the speed to not catch them, but certainly put them in a decent range bracket. You know, certainly catch them in medium range. Now, of course, they're going to have the movement modifiers. You're going to have your movement modifiers. There might be some cover or some terrain in the way, but you've got a PPC and you've got the LRM-10. The redundancy there, if they connect one or two hits on a light mech, that's going to either cripple them or force the opponent to really now, whatever they were doing with that light mech, pull it out. Get it out of there, and or really risk seriously losing it on there. So you have a chance to engage and hunt down the annoying light mechs. You have the ability to go against heavy and assault mechs. Now, when I say go against, I certainly don't mean go toe-to-toe. What we see with something like, let's say, Marauder, let's say the Warhammer, they can go toe-to-toe against an assault mech, meaning they can hold. Look, in Battletech, you could always roll crazy, but on average, not that we want to do this, they could have a delaying action and hold 2 or 3 turns, putting out some serious hurt against that assault mech. I'd rather not do that because eventually I am gonna fold on there, but they can work a delaying action. Where we see this really well with the Battlemaster, Battlemaster excels as, of course, an attack mech, but the Battlemaster is also a really amazing anchor mech. And I define an anchor mech as you place the mech down in the table, and with the arc that it's able to shoot in based on the weapons and based on the torso twisting, you project out range. Anything that comes into that range is going to get hit with multiple weapons, and you have the multiple weapons for not only redundancy, but the armor to just sit there and soak up damage. So literally as your opponent is advancing, you could take a Battlemaster and shut down part of the table and hold its own on there while your other tabletop assets move or get into position on there. Not ideal, not my first choice. I don't want to go toe-to-toe, but sometimes you have to do that. The Griffin does not work in that way. We're not going to go toe-to-toe, but again, based on the damage that it can output and its speed, it works as a very good sniper type mech, sniper type machine, where you can have your Battlemaster and Warhammer walking forward. I've got my light mech maybe doing its thing on the side. Normally I would take something like a medium mech as a bodyguard or an accompanying mech where once we engage, you and I, with our heavies and mediums, our heavies and assaults, my medium will try and flank and get rear armor or start punching you with the tonnage. Certainly, the Griffin could do that, but based on that range, it works really well as an independent machine where I can work the flanks with that light mech. I guess kind of like a hunter-killer. I can work those flanks like a light mech, but I can actually put some serious hurt on those heavies and on those assaults coming in. Free firepower every turn. That now, it's one thing where, okay, if there's a locust running around, not that I would, but we were looking at a locust, and I'm going to zip my locust by you, I'm on the way in. My locust is running past you. You'll take a couple of shots. You'll need 12 to hits. Probably not going to happen because I want to get behind to deal with some infantry holding the objective, or maybe some sort of spotting or some sort of support vehicle, artillery, LRM carriers, things like that. And you figure, okay, well, Fritz is going to run past me. What's he going to hit me with? I'm an assault mech. I'm a heavy mech. He's going to hit me with that medium laser. He's not sticking around. So maybe I hit you, maybe I don't. I run past you. If I get that Griffin into position on the sides of the table, and every turn I'm hitting you side, and that's going to slow things down too, because if I'm on the side hitting you, you got to watch your advance because you don't want rear armor. I don't want to eat a PPC or an LRM 10 on the side, on the rear armor on there. So now I'm forced. That's enough damage. I'm now forced to make a decision as that mech warrior in that assault or heavy mech. Do I engage the Griffin? No, absolutely I don't, because you're going to run away. But at the same time, I can't be eating those shots. This creates, the ultimate mech warrior question. What do I do? And in many ways, the question's kind of the wrong answer. The correct answer is I do nothing with that assault or heavy mech because it's not moving fast enough. Even if I have something like a stalker moving in, I can eat a lot of damage on that stalker. I don't want to do it. Do I want to eat on the way in? Of course, I'm shooting with my long-range missiles, and we're exchanging shots back and forth. But when I get to danger close, when I get to 2, 3, 4 hexes with your Battlemaster or your Atlas or something like that, on that way in, do I want to eat 2 or 3 or 4 turns of PPC and LRM 10 fire from that Griffin? No, I don't. So I would have to pull off something else, another element from my list to kind of shoo you away and get you out of there. It's not going to be that light mech. So what do I have in my list? It's going to mess with my plan on there. The final roll of the Griffin, and this is a little bit one-sided. Normally we see something like the Hunchback. In the previous podcast, we explored this idea of the Hunchback being a great kind of bodyguard mech where it goes in with the assaults, and when it gets close enough, it's going to bring that AC-20 to bear from rear armor or side armor, or on my way in, I'm going to fire point blank that AC-20, and then I'm going to be, brawling you with my fists, trying to punch you in the back, 1 in 6 chance of hitting your head, forcing a consciousness check, forcing other various pilot checks, things like that on there. The Griffin, on the way in, I'll be able to lay down that PPC and LRM 10 fire, but once I close there, I'm going to come up against those minimums really, really fast. Heat-wise and ammo-wise, I'll probably still shoot. I'll need what? 10s, 11s, 12s. If I'm moving and you're moving, even as a heavy or assault, plus not so much range, but the minimums up there, it's going to be hard to hit you. But with the mobility, once I get behind, now I'm punching. Now I'm kicking. Now I'm trying to do those things to you while the bulk of your weapons on your heavy or assault is facing lined up with my heavy and my assault. That's the last roll I would see for the Griffin. But in a pinch, or if the scenario warrants it, you're doing recon or you have to pass. Here's like an example, breakthrough mission, where I start on one side of the table and I have to exit the other side of the table, and you have to do everything you can to stop me. 2 schools of thought. Break away and everyone for themselves, usually not. Stick together and kind of move. So in that case, the Griffin is not operating independently, or it's not operating as a sniper type mech. It's going to have to go in, do that bodyguard duty, and try to get behind and utilize in that way. Absolute last choice, but an option. So in my mind, and I have a Griffin in my collection, of course, I enjoy playing it. It's always performed very, very well based on its strengths, based on its roles. Again, in the narrative, you throw in a little bit of role play in there. If you had to inherit something like that, you could do much, much worse. So in terms of medium mechs, that gets my vote for the auto include in your collection, in your stable, getting it ready to go. Your thoughts on the Griffin? And your top three, we'll narrow it down to three. We'll press that. Top three medium mechs that should 100% be in your collection.